What's wrong with vaping? Do people know it's bad for them? Maybe they do and they just do it anyway because it's cool or calming. Or they'd say it's just, oh, it's better than smoking. But technically, you are still putting chemicals into your body. Yes, it's better than smoking, but what's the point if you're still going to harm yourself? One of these chemicals that you're putting into ourselves is nicotine. Nicotine can kill brain cells and stop new ones from forming. I personally have cousins that vape, and I don't even know if they know the consequences of it. Maybe they know and they just still do it, or maybe they just don't and they just do it because they think, like I said, it's cool or calming to them. And they're only about 5 or 6 years older than me, so they're still pretty young. People who are this young are vaping, and even younger, high schoolers are vaping. They're hurting their bodies in ways they might know, in ways they still don't know because science hasn't even found out. There's so many risks you take when you vape. But before we talk about those, we need to ask ourselves first, what is an e-cigarette? E-cigarettes are devices that operate by heating a liquid solution to a high enough temperature so that it produces an aerosol. Then the aerosol is then inhaled by us. Many teens think that an e-cigarette is producing a water vapor, so it's safer to use. But what is actually produced is an aerosol. An aerosol contains many small suspended particles of liquids and gases that are created from whatever is in the e-liquid. As we learned in 7th grade, our brain isn't fully developed yet. So exposing our brain to nicotine and other drugs, we are at risk for long-term effects like addiction, mood disorders, and permanent lowering of impulse control. Nicotine also changes the way our synapses are formed, which can harm parts of the brain that control attention and learning. Most of these devices contain the amount of nicotine that is in a full pack of cigarettes. Teens can even change how much vapor is produced in this device, and you can use it for chasing. Cloud chasing, or vape tricks, involves producing large vape clouds with weird shapes and names like rings, dragons, and ghosts. In young people like us, nicotine also produces heritable changes in gene expression. For example, in the genes involved in asthma. So teens who are using nicotine may not be only harming themselves, but harming their kids too. This is called popcorn lung. Our lungs are where our blood picks up oxygen before taking it to the rest of the body. When you breathe in, air flows into your lungs and through your windpipe. Your windpipe divides into two tubes called bronchi, which lead to your left and your right lung. Inside your lungs, those tubes split again and again like branches of a tree. The smallest of those branches is called bronchioles, and they end in tiny air sacs called alveoli. Alveoli is where the oxygen is picked up by your blood. When you have popcorn lung, those tiny air passages get irritated and inflamed. This leads to scarring and makes them narrower. That makes it harder for you to get enough air. So what's wrong with vaping? Well, there's a lot of things wrong with it, and there are even some unknown health effects. Long-term health consequences are not yet known. Addiction. Addiction in the growing brain may set up pathways for later addiction to other substances. Brain risks. Nicotine affects our brain development in kids and teens. This can make it harder for us to learn and concentrate. Some of the brain changes are even permanent. Like I said, it can affect our mood and impulse control later in life. Sports. Next time someone is tempting you or trying to get you to vape, or like even if they just say, "Oh, it's just one time, nothing's gonna hurt you." If it's just one puff is still gonna hurt you. So next time you get tempted, don't do it.